In continuation with the last class, today I'm going to give the exception to law of demand. This is more important question as an examination point of view. Why? Because the law of demand will not hold good in most of the economic situation. What are those situations that we have to, based on this only, the elasticity of demand have been innovated. So, before listing out the exception, I've just refreshed what we discussed in the last class. Actually, we started with the demand. The definition of demand is given in the second paragraph. In this definition, the key points that you have to remember is totally 6. What is that? The first key point is economic goods and services. The second key point is individual customer or group of customers. The third point is willing to purchase or willing to experience. Willing to purchase for the goods, willing to purchase, willing to experience for the service. The fourth key factor for the definition is the price. And the fifth key factor is a time perspective. The last one is ability to pay. So how the definition of demand goes, the amount of a specific economic good or service that an individual customer or group of customers willing to purchase or willing to experience at a particular price for a given period of time, supported by ability to pay for the same. If you connect all these 6 key factors, you can get the perfect definition of demand. Why the demand is important? Because it's a lifeline to the business. It acts as a linkage between the human wants and the source of product. Because human wants are unlimited, but the sources are very limited. That is why the demand gains its importance. When you keep on analyzing the determinants of demand, the first one is the price factor. Price of the product. Not only the price of the product, the price of the related product also influence more. What are the relative product? It may be a substitute product or it may be a complementary product. Apart from pricing factor, the next factor is the income factor. That is the economic status of the consumer decides the demand. That is why the next best factor which is influencing the demand is income of the consumer. The most critical factor for the determinants of demand is the consumer satisfaction. How we will satisfy based on his taste and preference. If you provide based on his taste or how he prefer, he has to reveal the preference based on that only. We have to provide the product, then there will be a good demand. That decides in most of the cases. And apart from that, recently the advertisement expenditure is the main determinant for the demand. These are the some of the determinants of demand. Apart from that, there are many other determinants which we just put it as other determinants. So using these determinants of demand, we can classify the demand into 2 categories. One is individual demand function and market demand function. The individual demand function, write those 8. QA is a function of PA, Y, P1, P2, P up to Pn minus 1, TP, AD, EY. All these things are nothing but PA is nothing but the price of the product. The quantity demanded is a function of the price of the product. The second one, Y, indicates the level of income of the consumer. So if he is not rich enough to afford a particular product, then he will not buy. So that economic status of the individual decides the individual demand function. The third one is not only the actual price but also the price of the other goods. That is the price of the related good product we have. The fifth factor is the taste and preference. Then there are 2 more things called EY and EP, nothing but expected change in income or expected change in price of the product. These 2 also influence the demand. So these are the factors to be considered to construct the individual demand. Along with this individual demand, when you add the demographic factor like age, gender, or income, all these things, along with the market size, that is a population, then this individual demand will become the market demand function. This is market demand function. See, the same individual function, the first 8 factors that we are considering. The last but 3, the population, that is the size of the market. The market may be perfect or imperfect market, a monopoly or duopoly or oligopolistic, whichever market may be. When it considered, then this individual become can easily converted into market demand. Based on the market demand, we can once again prepare the micro level. The other factor is demographic. When you add this market factor and demographic factor with the individual demand, it becomes the market demand function. Suppose if they ask what are the 2 different types of demand, then you have to write individual demand and market demand. How to construct? Just write these 8 factors. Definitely, this is a section B question. If you write this question, you can secure full marks. Now, let us continue with the actual part of the discussion, that is law of demand. What is law of demand? It expresses the relationship between the price and demand of the product. Price of the product and demand for the product, how it is related. Professor Alfred Marshall have rightly expressed the relationship between the price and demand of the product. According to him, other things remaining the same, the amount demanded increases with the fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price. In this particular definition, the first 5 words, other things remaining the same, we used to call technically as ceteris paribus. That means other things are equal. When other things are equal, how demand and price related? The amount demanded increases with a fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price. When price is increasing, the demand will decrease. When price is decreasing, demand will increase. That is nothing but the law of demand. So whether this law of demand hold good, for that he made some assumption that other things remaining same. It includes 7 factors. What are the 7 factors? They made it as a assumption. The first assumption is there is no change in the price of the related commodities. What is the second assumption? The economic status of the consumer is constant. That is, income of the consumer is constant. The third one is the consumer will have the same taste and preference about the product. The fourth one, there is no change in the style, fashion, trend or habit, whichever be. The fifth assumption is there is no change in technological know-how. Technology is constant. Then the sixth assumption is the size of the population remains the same. That is, there is no change in the market structure. The last one is the future expected price or income is absent. Suppose if there is a change in price in the future, or if there is a change in price, that kind of psychological factor that consumer is having, then this law of demand will not hold. So the Alfred Marshall have made these 7 as assumption. That assumption is made in the first 5 letters. What are 5 words? What are they? Other things remaining constant. What are the other things? Price of the related goods, income of the consumer, taste and preference, habit, style, fashion, technology, population, future change of price and income. All these are remaining the same. Then the amount demanded increases with the fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price. So using this particular definition, we can extract 4 different features. What are they? First, you tell about the relation, then tell about the price, tell about the demand, and finally the condition. So these 4 are the features of law of demand. You can expect a separate section 8 question. What are the features of law of demand? How you have to write? First, you write the definition. Other things being equal, the amount demanded diminishes with the fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price. This is the definition. So first feature is there is an inverse relationship between the quantity demanded and the price of the product. This is the first feature. How they are related? It is inversely related. Then whether the price is independent or dependent, mention that the price is involved. Because there is a change in price, the demand is understand that. That is why we call it as a independent. First change is happened in the price only. Based on that, there is a reaction, there is a change in the demand. So make price of the product as an independent variable, then the demand is a dependent variable. After telling about these three, that is inverse relation, price factor and demand factor, make a very clear statement. This is most important feature is seritas paribus. What does it mean? Other things being equal. Using this condition only, that is a law of demand. That is the inverse relationship between the price and the demand. These are the things that we already studied yesterday. Today we are going to see the exception. Before that, just say how you have to draw the demand. First, you make a schedule. Schedule means price and demand will be measured in one table, and then the quantity demanded measured in the horizontal axis, price is measured in the vertical axis. When the price is P naught, then the quantity is Q naught. So we are connecting that. Suppose the price decreases from P0 to P1, then there is a decrease in price, the quantity of demand will increase. So the demand will move from Q0 to Q1. So if you connect these two lines, then we can get one particular curve called demand curve, sloping downwards from left to right. That is a separate section A question. Why demand curve slopes downwards? For that, you have to list out 6 factors. If you write any 3, that is enough. Price effect, income effect, substitution effect, law of diminishing marginal utility, then new customers and multiple use of a same product. These are the reason for why it's sloping downwards. Today's class, let us continue with the exception to law of demand, a confirmed section B question. What is law of demand? There should be an inverse relationship between the price of the product and demand of the product. A small 2 minutes break. Let us talk generally for 2 minutes and then we'll continue that. How many non-Tamilian students are there in our class? Hello. So no one is there in the screen. Is it so? Thank you. I appreciate. So everyone on the online and you moved it. Anyhow, let me continue. Whether you're seeing or not, it's my duty to say na. But some people may be in the office or somewhere. So the exception to law of demand is an important question as a section B. First one is necessary goods. In case of necessary goods, the law of demand will not hold good because it's an autonomous consumption. Irrespective of the price, each individual will consume a minimum consumption. The second one is called Giffen paradox. Why it is called Giffen paradox? This particular concept was invented by Sir Robert Giffen. What he said, there is no relation, there is no inverse relation between the price and the demand in case of inferior goods. Why it is so? One of the example is salt. The consumption of salt in a particular day will not be changed. Whether it is given freely or it is 1000 rupees per kg salt, even it is 1000 rupees, we will buy that particular salt and we will have. Why? Because we cannot neglect or we cannot accept fully. That is the case in case of inferior goods. So this particular concept called Giffen paradox. How you have to answer? Giffen paradox is a concept which is expressed as an exception to law of demand. Why? Because in case of inferior goods, the law of demand will not hold good as there is no inverse relationship between the price of the product and the demand for the product. For example, salt. The consumption of salt is autonomous. Irrespective of price, we have to consume a minimum. So it is exception to law of demand. Now the third question possible is what is Veblen effect? Veblen effect is nothing but This is also the exception to law of demand. Why? Because there is no inverse relationship between the price of the product and the demand for the product in case of luxurious goods. Luxurious goods in the sense consumption, that is purchase of gold, platinum, or a Rolls Royce car, all these things. Why it is exemption? When the price increases, demand also increases. Both factors are moving in a same direction. But what law of demand states, there is an inverse relationship between the price of the product and the quantity demanded. But in case of luxury goods, you cannot see that. Why? Because when price is increasing, people will demand more. So it is exception to law of demand. This concept we used to call it as Veblen effect. Why? Professor Veblen have invented this. So this concept is called Veblen effect. This is the third exception to law of demand. In case of necessary goods, the law of demand will not hold good. In case of inferior goods like salt, the law of demand will not hold good. In case of luxury goods like purchase of gold, platinum, or any symbol of status, all these things, it is exception to law of demand. The fourth exemption is when there is an emergency situation or any urgency. This law of demand will not hold good because of that emergency and urgency, people will not connect the price and the demand. He badly need that particular one, then why he think about the price? Irrespective of price, he will going to consume that. So in case of emergency situation or urgency situation, the law of demand will not hold good at all. Then the fifth exemption is the taste and preference. When the consumer is preferring a particular product, then he will not bother about the price. Whether the price is decreasing or increasing, he will not see. I need that particular product. So there is no inverse relationship because there will be a constant consumption of a particular product. The demand is constant, irrespective of change in price. So it is exception to law of demand because there is no inverse relation between these two. Then finally, one more exception is change in fashion, style, habit, or trend. These kind of factors, you cannot. So how you conclude? There are many other exception to law of demand. One of these consumer ignorance. When there is consumer is ignorant about the product, the seller will fix a different price. The price discrimination may happen because of the price rigidity. Law of demand will not hold good. Hello, yes. Any doubt? Okay, let me continue. So it's a confirmed section B question. Today, this evening, kindly complete this question and upload in the group. Then the last possible section A question in this particular chapter is why demand curve slope downwards. Keep it in mind, the demand curve always slope downwards from left to right. Why it is? Because of the following 6 reasons. You can write any 3 reasons. The first reason is price effect, because there is an inverse relation between the price and the demand. The second one is income effect. Income, because there is influence of income, the demand is changing. The third one is the substitution effect. If you write these 3, you can get full mark because it's a 3-mark question only. But apart from that, there are 3 more reasons called law of diminishing marginal utility. That is, when you consume a particular product subsequently, the subsequent product utilization is keep on deteriorating. Why it is? Because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Then the fifth one, there is a new customer for a particular product, always the demand curve slope downwards. Why? Because people will have, they move to the next product. That's what it means. Suppose Samsung or any other mobile company, they are keep on releasing a new model. Why? There will be new customer for the product. People will not prefer the every 6 months people try to change the phone. That is why the demand goes slope downwards for any electronic product. Then multiple use of the same commodity, one particular thing which can be used for multiple purpose, then the demand curve always slope downwards. So because of these reasons, the demand curve slope downwards from left to right. With this, I am completing the class. All of you type your name in the chat box.